Okay, well, I was very excited to talk about this team. I'm choosing them as one of my first draft recaps to make because they had a very interesting decision that they made at the top of the draft. With the number 2 overall pick, they traded up to get the number 2 overall pick. First of all, we should talk about that. Actually, before we even get into any of this, I gotta explain what you see next to me on the screen. The chart next to me is the number all the way to the left is when the player was taken. Then you have the name of the player, the position of the player, and finally where that player ranked on the consensus big board. So Travis Hunter, they decide to trade a second round pick this year and next year's first round selection, which again is a gamble, right? I know Jacksonville intends to be better this year. Travis Hunter should help them be better this year, but you never do know what that pick will end up being. I'm sure the Panthers didn't expect that they were going to be giving up the future first overall pick when they made the Bryce Young trade, right? But ultimately, this is the gamble they decide to take to get Travis Hunter. And listen, historically, making a trade like this for a non-quarterback is usually a bad idea. Just looking through history, usually when you win a trade like this, it's a slight win. And when you lose a trade like this, it can be pretty heavy losses just because the other team's getting more players, right? So it just makes sense that they're going to probably, get more hits. That's usually how it works. But Travis Hunter is a legitimately different scenario, right? Because we've never seen someone who potentially might have double the value of one non-quarterback player. And what do you do with that? Listen, I don't know exactly how well it'll work out, but I think Travis Hunter's an awesome prospect. He's probably the most foolproof prospect in this class because not only is he an incredible receiver, but he's an incredible corner. And so if he doesn't work at one position, you can try him at the other. There's that built-in fail-safe. And to be clear, he's a top 5 pick. If he didn't play receiver, in my opinion, just at a corner, and still probably a top 10 pick just as receiver. Seems like they want to have him play receiver, which I find interesting. But want to spend some time talking about that. But that was not the only pick. In fact, they actually still had a decent amount of picks despite this trade. They also go with Caleb Ransaw in the with their second pick, which was in the 3rd round, pick number 88, when they had back-to-back selections. He was projected to go 150th. It seems like they are banking on his 2023 season to be closer to what you get. And for defensive backs, that's not always the worst idea in the world. Ransaw is someone who he was better in 2023 and 2024. He is kind of a pretty big nickel corner. I would really say that nickel corner / hybrid role. That's probably where they want to use him. Next up, they decided to get Wyatt Millam, who was Pro Football Focus's 3rd highest graded offensive tackle last year, which is definitely, hey, you got to like that, right? Getting someone who could potentially, hope maybe someday find a way onto could he be a starter at some point? I think they drafted usually in this spot when you're getting a offensive lineman, you're not drafting him necessarily saying, okay, this guy has to be a starter, but maybe could be. You have Anton Harrison and Walker Little at the tackle positions, but maybe the hope is just that you could have a good depth player who could potentially come in and play. Has had some very good games. Analytics through the roof, very good. So getting a guy with high production, that usually is pretty good. I know historically the Jaguars have gone after good athletes, but sometimes just get the guy with production, not the worst idea in the world. They then decided to get Bashal Tutin, who again, there was a lot of talk. Do they go with Ashton Genty back when we thought they were going to be picking with the 5th overall selection? No, they decided to wait a little bit, but they still do add a running back. Getting a running back here who was projected to go 120th. It's, again, slight reach, but at this point, that's fine. That's no big deal. Someone who should be a fast running back who could be maybe a nice complement to Travis Etienne if they do feel like they can get a lot of snaps with Etienne. They then went after off-ball linebacker Jack Kaiser with the 107th overall pick. He was projected to go 159th, but I actually think maybe he's getting a bit slept on, and maybe the 107th is more what his value should be right here, because he is someone who, while the athleticism isn't eye-popping, and again, this is very interesting to talk about the Jaguars this way. It is funny that the first pick was the best athlete in the class, but other than that, them not necessarily going after just pure athletes, but going after guys who can play. And Kaiser has production. He was a considered sort of a smart player. That's what the people that liked about him. That's what the people that liked him liked about him. So for an off-ball linebacker who, again, is this, usually in this point of the draft, you're not necessarily drafting starters. He's going to be behind Devin Lloyd and Aluakon to start the year at least. But injuries happen, things like that happen. Who knows, what will work out. Hopefully everyone stays healthy and you just have, maybe you have 3 linebackers on some plays. Probably not, but, if you need him, he could be available. They then decided to go with Jalen McLeod, the edge rusher, who, okay, this is a reach according to the consensus big board. He was projected to go 310th. This will not be the last person on the consensus big board that they draft, which we'll get to in just a second. But, an edge rusher out of Auburn, smaller edge rusher, right? And that's probably part of what hurt his draft stock of 6'1", 236. And again, we're talking, there's been almost 200 players selected ahead of him. But I will say, good numbers in college, good analytics in college. While he is a bit of an older prospect as well, he is someone who's had several years of production and had a career high in snaps last year at 598. Is it going to give you a lot of production? I don't know, but for a rotational piece with pick 194, might not be the worst thing in the world. They also decided to go with Raekwon, I believe that's how you say his name, Lane. I'm a little bit confused. Feels like it's missing a letter, so I'm not sure. Rayuan Lane. Sorry, Mr. Lane, for that. But this is the guy who is listed as a safety, probably a box safety type of play. He is more of a aggressive type player, and for a 5'11" guy, box safety who's maybe slightly undersized, people will have some concerns there, but also as someone who covered very well for when he had to, right? So I don't know, interesting, but hey, interesting to see. He's a player out of Navy, so that's always fascinating. You don't get that too often, but yeah, there you go. So maybe who knows? That's such a transition. We'll see how that works. No matter how much you like his tape, just getting a Navy guy, it's just such a transition. With pick 221, they decide to go with Jonah Monaheem, who, I will say, again, looking at other boards, I looked at the PFF board, he was 217th here, so maybe it's not that crazy to select him, here. It's kind of similar value in that respect. Someone who I do think you can look at, again, he does have production, and I think that's what maybe you look at as a positive. I think a lot of people just feel like he's probably not going to be probably not going to have the strength to really work at the NFL level. Is a big center, 6'5", 310, so maybe it'll be able to work out. But yeah, that's so not really room though for him to bulk up and try and get stronger there too, though. So maybe that's the downside. Finally, they selected LaQuint Allen with pick 236. He was projected to go 191st. Just feels like he could be a third down back is where he projects. Probably will play special teams as well. People don't really view him at his rushing to be that elite, but is a guy who can pass catch well and also can, pass protect well. So, hey, that's what you need for a third down back. And then if you have to just, throw him off with a running play here and there, hopefully he can manage. So, yeah, that is the Jaguars draft. Honestly, not a draft that I hate at all. I've been very critical of the Jaguars drafting, but it's a new era for the Jaguars. And again, the Travis Hunter decision is probably what's going to make or break this team the next couple of years. It's a very bold decision, but he's quite the player, and if you can get your hands on him, I totally get why they want to. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.